Welcome to the Infinite Waves podcast. Today I have Grant Lahring from Goodlawyer and talking about how they are revolutionizing law. Let's get into it. Let's explore AI and future technology. At the Infinite Waves podcast, we are dedicated to spotlighting leaders who blend creativity with technology to shape the future. Powered by Creative Innovations Lab, this podcast delves into innovation, paving the way to a sustainable, smarter world. Tune in and let's pioneer the next wave of possibilities together. Thank you for joining in on Infinite Waves podcast. Last episode, we had Dallas Reed Payne from the utilities industry. She was talking about how they're transforming the utility experience. If you haven't checked out that video, go back and check it out. And today we have Grant Lahring, an exceptional leader, one of the co-founders of Goodlawyer, who has been transforming the legal services industry to a whole new level. Grant, welcome to the Infinite Waves podcast.
Thanks for having me, Russell. Appreciate it.
So Grant, one big question that I had when I was researching and searching about Goodlawyer is Goodlawyer is doing something completely different, a new concept that is not very popular, but well received by many entrepreneurs and lawyers as well. Imagine if somebody has never heard about Goodlawyer. How would you describe Goodlawyer to them?
What we do is connect businesses with lawyers, and very specific business, very specific lawyers, but at the basis, that's what we're doing. We're making connections between people. And we have a software that facilitates that, and we have a process that facilitates that. But really the magic is in connecting the right person with the right opportunity. We've grown and changed over the last few years. So we can kind of do it in reverse chronological order, but really most recently what we do is we work with larger companies and connect them with legal talent that can either lead their legal function or fill in some role on their legal team to support it.
Okay. And I understood that Goodlawyer has been getting a lot of traction in social media, in the market, and I believe Goodlawyer is one of the leaders in the legal services space. How did this idea come into place? How did Goodlawyer get created?
Well, that's one of the things I can't take any credit for.
Okay.
That is all Brett. Brett and he had another co-founder who were lawyers at the big firm and essentially weren't a big fan of how things were being run. Okay. And they had all these complaints with the processes and things, and they were trying to kind of make change within those organizations, and they weren't really getting anywhere. When people kind of were constantly told no, they sometimes look for how they can solve the problem without the rest of the institution. Really what Brett was seeing was of the $500 an hour that I'm billing as a corporate lawyer, I'm taking home about 70, which is a great salary for a new grad pretty much, but it's not a lot of that 500. And it felt like for a guy like Brett, who's also doing the BD and bringing his own business and things, pretty raw deal to give $430 an hour to this firm that wasn't really supporting him in any way. So his idea was I bet we can do everything that the firm's doing with the technology. And then the lawyers can make more and technology can do all the stuff that the firms do. And that was the premise. And really what happened was we started with that. Initially, the only people that really trust us were these kind of smaller businesses, and we'd work with small businesses to do fixed fee projects. As we gained credibility in the market, we moved into kind of this mid-market segment, where these amazing scale-up companies that were growing really fast, and they had need for legal support every month, but not so much that they wanted to hire their own GC.
Okay.
So we would become their fractional general counsel. We invented that term, we popularized that concept, and really started to grow on supporting these interesting companies. More recently, we've had even been pulled further up market to kind of this enterprise level, where we've got companies that, they're doing billions in revenue, and they have big legal teams, but the legal teams have still gaps in them, or there's leaves and things like that they need us to support them on, and our model works a lot better than all the existing options. So we're really happy to continue to kind of move up those new markets.
So if I'm a new entrepreneur and I want to hire a lawyer, if I choose Goodlawyer, I would get a reasonable price for the legal services that I get, and not the evil pumped up of big numbers which a normal entrepreneur wouldn't be able to afford. Is that the problem right now Goodlawyer is solving at scale?
To some extent, yeah. Like, affordability is always going to be part of our value proposition, and mostly just because of the model difference. Like, in a traditional professional services firm, pretty much all of them, if it's accounting or law or engineering, you've got these massive markups on each hour that you do, and you bill your time by time. And that works actually really well for a lot of things. It especially works well for big projects. So what big firms are really, really good at is things like financing transactions, things like huge litigations. If you suddenly need to spin up a team of 50 lawyers to read 20,000 emails and categorize them and go to court by Tuesday, you need a big firm. We can't do that. But if you need someone to review all your sales contracts, they come in kind of a couple every week, and they're the same, and they're critical to growing your revenue, and they're more of a business decision than a risk decision.
Okay.
Goodlawyer is way better suited, and the lawyers we work with are independent. They don't have any of that overhead. So you're going to pay just the lawyer. They're going to make 50% more than they would at a big firm, and actually up to 3 times as much as they work at a big firm. They're making a lot more money per hour on that. The client's going to pay about 50% what they would going to a big firm.
Wow.
And that's with our piece kind of in the middle. So we do take a piece of it, so we're how we make money. But with all those things considered, the economics are way more desirable for those kind of projects at Goodlawyer.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Creative and Tycons, the 2 companies that I work with, we're both on Goodlawyer platform, and we seem to really enjoy it, and we are pretty close friends with Goodlawyers as well. So, but
appreciate your business. We appreciate your business very much.
Absolutely, yeah, anytime. And if I take you back, Grant, to the very beginning, because right now, this is something relevant to the company that I'm in right now as well, Creative Innovations Lab, our AI company. If I take you back, so you're introducing a brand new concept, way when you started. A new concept where the lawyers haven't heard of much, and the entrepreneurs or the customers you're targeting haven't heard much. So I'm asking this question because AI is right now at a very early stage, and there's a lot of speculation. Some people are on board on it, 100% on it, and some people are scared of it. Some people say it's gonna go away like a wave. So there's a lot of speculation, but I'm just curious to know, how did Goodlawyer conceptualize and try to bring this concept, and how did you find the market receiving a new concept, and what was your strategies around it?
In terms of how we disrupted legal, I think it's best characterized by our mission statement, which is to be the most desirable way to practice law. So we're trying to make a way to practice. And traditionally, lawyers have had 2 options. They've got option number 1, work at a firm. And that's characterized by huge amounts of money. You make lots of money. Seems like a great way to live. But also huge amounts of work. So you tend to burn out, you tend to have a lot of health risks and things associated with that. It can be really hard on your family. So the other option they have is to go in-house. So typically lawyers will work up to 5 years at a big firm, and then they'll burn out so much that they find an in-house job, usually one of their clients, frankly. It's funny how that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now you go from serving Shopify to working at Shopify. And then you get a lot better work balance. The pay is not as good. It's still great, frankly. Look at the average Canadian salary, it's amazing. But it's a lot lower than your kind of big firm partner situation, but you get a better work-life balance. Now, we're something in between that, and that is new. And it's something that really works well for certain lawyers. And it's special is you get to have a couple of clients. So now you've got sort of one client that you work with exclusively on the in-house side. You work with 2 to 3 clients, and you're kind of their fractional general counsel. You're their main go-to. You're a member of the leadership team. You're doing a lot of business planning, you're doing strategy. and you're doing legal as well, and you're coordinating things with firms if you have to. And you get to wear a lot of interesting hats for a lot of interesting companies. And you probably still have your Fridays off.
Yeah.
So you're making great money and you still have the flexibility that none of those options have. And that's, I think, why a lot of lawyers gravitate to our platform. But it is an education piece. I mean, I can't tell you how many lawyers we've talked to who the option was Goodlawyer or quitting being a lawyer, because they didn't feel like either of those two options were very good.
Wow. Okay. No, that's wonderful. And taking the message to your new customers or the people at the beginning, your marketing team had to do an amazing job, because I see Goodlawyer present almost everywhere in anything that we do in Toronto, in Calgary, in like anywhere and everywhere. What's your secret behind the marketing sauce?
I mean, part of it is necessity. Like, I think the truth about legal is that it's intermittent. So people might not have any legal issues at any given time. The other truth of legal is that everyone needs it. Every business needs some legal work over time. So what benefits us most strongly is to be known, so that when people do have an issue, they're like, oh yeah, let's try Goodlawyer. Other go-to-market strategies like direct sales and things like that kind of require you to be able to help them in that moment. And with us, it was like, okay, 99% of the time, it's not the right moment. So building a brand has become central to our go-to-market for practical reasons. The other side of it is like how we do it. And I think we have limited resources. We've got some investment, but really we're almost running this like a bootstrap company. We have no venture capital or anything like that. We had to be really, really lean. And what we found was, we can dig into this in more detail if you want, but like basically 3 points to the trident. We've got events, it's like actually getting out into the community. And this is something that law firms and service providers have always been pretty good at, because that's where you meet your people. You have the conversations and you can kind of explain how your offering is different than the other 10 law firms were kind of the same. The other one is LinkedIn. So most people have seen us on LinkedIn. It's an amazing social platform that frankly is really light on content. So us learning to develop good content and mostly driving content from those events, like being in the community and actually engaging with people, gives us the content that we can share on LinkedIn. And that helps us stay top of mind. Because all these people who are meeting at events don't need us in the moment. We need to wait for them to be ready. So LinkedIn's perfect for kind of staying connected. The third kind of the trident is actually asking for business. So there is kind of a moment when people need it. So we do maintain an effort in just asking people, can we work together? If they're like the right qualified person. And then usually the answer is like, maybe I don't really know what you do, so let's have a chat. So then we devote a lot of resources to having those chats and explaining what we do and learning about businesses so that we can actually decide if we are in fact a good fit for what they're trying to do.
That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that marketing sauce with our audience. And I think we are right on time. And I have one more question. So the legal industry is a pretty matured industry. I know there's a lot of giants playing in this industry as well. But right now, AI has been like a buzzword that has been disrupting many industries. In our previous episode, we spoke with a utility expert, and she was saying that even utility industry is experiencing change with AI. How does AI impact Goodlawyer or the legal services industry?
A lot. I think it'll be interesting to see all the different ways it does. I think, to your point of this being an established industry, I think the oldest firms in Canada are more than 300 years old. Like they're very, very old. Like not quite Hudson's Bay, but like pretty fucking close. And they're calcified. They're really stuck in their things. And one of their things is the billable hour. This is infamous in law. They break your hour into 6-minute chunks, and every time you talk to a lawyer, they're running a timer, and every 6 minutes, that's a 0.1. And that adds up. And of course, this is how partners are decided. This is how your draw is distributed at the end of the year. This is how you keep your job as a lawyer. So it's all about the billable hour, which if you're an AI, you start thinking, wow, that's the exact opposite of what AI does. AI makes things faster.
Yeah.
It really shortens time on things like reading and summarizing. It shortens time on drafting. Basically, those are the things that lawyers do. So a couple pieces of law are going to be absolutely, completely transformed in terms of speed. I think I would hypothesize that good firms are going to have to find ways to value price those things, because rather than, I'll give an example from Brett's story, but they used to pay or task interns with changing the dates in the contracts. So it was okay, we've got this contract, this client needs a new contract, we have to change the date in 500 places. And you go in as an intern, you find the control F function and you can place them all at once. And you're wow, this is amazing. Surely this firm will love that we have this control F function or control H, I think it is. But it's find and replace. Anyway, they're no, we absolutely don't want you doing that. We want you to spend as much time as possible doing this. Even though these poor law students are going home at 2 a.m., pulling actual all-nighters during an articling, because that's when they make their money. They're spending more time. So AI is going to cut that down. Pieces that I see immediately impacted are summarizations. This is huge in litigation, where you've got again, you have to read 20,000 emails to find out which ones relate to the case. AI does that in that. Another one would be contract reviews for risk. So you can actually just, hey ChatGPT, I am a alternative legal service provider. This is my contract with this client. What are some of the main risks in it? And then it's just going to summarize the points. And you can still review it as a lawyer, but you've got a better quality result, because chances are those issues have existed in other contracts and AI knows about them. And then the drafting, right? So I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs I've spoken to who were I got a quote from my law firm for $8,000 for this contract, so I thought I'd just try it in GPT and see what happens. And then I used the GPT one. And obviously there's risks associated with that, but I think what lawyers don't appreciate is there's also risks in using their contract. Because AI doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be better than what the person is doing. And people are flawed, and people who are working until 3 a.m. are really, really flawed. So there's a lot of opportunity for AI to improve things like drafting and email that lawyers consider core.
Interesting, very interesting. Thank you for sharing the story behind it and then your experiences on this.
For us at least, we're embracing it in the way that we can, which means giving those tools to our lawyers. Because we ultimately want to compete with other lawyers. We want our lawyers to be delivering the best value. That means having good tools. So they're very much at the front, working with all these providers that are developing these tools and providing them to our network.
Okay, so I believe in future we see there might be an AI solution embedded in Goodlawyer as an offering to the lawyers who are on the platform as well.
Yeah,
wow.
And our platform uses tons of AI. There's lots of AI built into it that is super valuable to them. The technology piece of what we do is giving the lawyers superpower. And that's how we compete with these bigger firms who have 300 years of BD experience ahead of us.
All right. Thank you for sharing all that insights and experiences, Grant. I'm pretty sure our audience would love to embrace and check out Goodlawyer and possibly try out their new contracts with Goodlawyer as well. So Grant, can you tell our audience how they could connect with you if they want to find you?
Yeah, for sure. I'm on LinkedIn. Just find me on LinkedIn, shoot me a DM.
So that concludes our episode with Grant. And up next, we have Shannon Birch from Neo Financial on our next episode. We'll see you then. That's a wrap for today's episode of Infinite Waves. We hope you're inspired to pioneer your own innovations. Brought to you by Creative Innovations Lab, where creativity and technology drives the future. See you on the next wave.